This is Monday, June 20th, 2022, and today is going to be the pepper tour. I'm Gail, the gardening gal, and we'll go through all the peppers I have in the garden this year. We'll start with the Trick Dew jalapeno peppers. These are the no-heat jalapeno peppers. I have them growing in what's probably a 12-gallon grow bag, and I can see plenty of nice peppers on it so far. And if you'll compare this against the one that I grew back when I was doing the 2020 videos, you can see that this is growing far better now that it has sunlight. By the way, when I say sunlight, it used to be that this area got like no sunlight or like 3 or 4 hours of sunlight a day. And now that the trees are cut down and everything, it gets a lot more sunlight. Here are 3 pepper plants. I'll get this right. Here are 3 pepper plants growing right next to each other with varying degrees of success. Now this first one is Giuseppe, and I've grown this. This is the 3rd year I've grown it, and it has produced absolutely gorgeous fruits. Problem is this year I think I've seen a few flowers and that's it. I'm down to just a few seeds of this, and I don't know if I can get any more. So I was really wanting to save seeds from this pepper this year so I could have it for future years, but who knows if I'm going to be successful. We have my small grocery store. So this is those grocery store peppers that you see. They're like the lunchbox kind, where they're about so big and they're very sweet. I saved seeds one year, and I've grown it, and the first year that I grew it, it grew very nicely and it had lots of peppers. This year I think I see just blossoms, but it had been doing very, very poorly. So it's starting to do well now, and I'm really hopeful for it. Well, next to it is the gargantuan of the peppers in this particular area. This is called Carolina Amethyst. Now I grew this last year, and it had the most wonderful tiny bell peppers on it, and the plant was like this tall. And it was because it was planted in a bad spot. So this year I planted it in a better spot, and you can see I left one of the bells on so you can see it. It turns a beautiful purple color when they're ripe. Now this one is absolutely loaded with peppers. It's kind of hard to see, but I probably have at least another 10 peppers on it, and I've already harvested a couple, and they do taste wonderful. Saving seeds from the first few that I have gone ahead and picked because they would not have crossed yet. Now in between all my dwarf tomato plants, I have the let's see, it's a bell. It's called Valencia Orange. And I did pick this up at this store because I had some room in this bed, so I figured why not go ahead and grow a pepper. And this is a bell pepper type, so Valencia Orange. Now these are my Adapt peppers. So in addition to my tomatoes for the Adapt program, I also have peppers, and again they're trialing seeds for various locations to see how well they perform. Now the first one, these are all Pimiento peppers, and this first one is, I think it's just called Pimiento, and it's doing okay. It really hasn't fruited any that I can tell, but it had been doing very, very poorly, and it was up to a little while ago, it was only about this tall, so maybe about half the size. But it has since then bushed out and grown quite a bit, probably because I removed the turnips and the radishes. Well, next to it is, I think it's called miniature tomato pepper, which I have no idea why they called it that, but it is producing some buds and blossoms. So we'll see what kind of pimiento peppers I get from this. So this one was the second one of the adapts to go ahead and fruit. And then next to it we have Virginia doorknob, which is absolutely loaded with peppers. This is like, I think, the first pepper that actually set fruit in the garden this year, and totally loaded. So let's see if I can. So you can see what size the peppers are, and again, these are pimiento style, which I don't normally go for, but you know, I wanted to take part in the trial, so you know, why not? This pepper plant is not a Pinot, which is supposed to be a no-heat jalapeno, and of the reviews I've seen, they say, well, gee, you know, it may be a no-heat jalapeno, but it doesn't really taste like a jalapeno. Well, they look like jalapenos more or less, and I'll taste them and see what happens. They are open pollinated as opposed to the tricked you that I showed you earlier, because those are a hybrid, and this one is open pollinated. So if actually they taste anything like a jalapeno, I'll keep them, even if they're not totally jalapeno tasting. Now don't let this one fool you. This one is Buena Mulata, and I had missed it planting this one. When I planted it a few weeks ago, it was about this tall, and I did not think it was going to survive. I pinched it back, and it's starting to grow. It has the most beautiful purple peppers on it. They are hot, but they are absolutely gorgeous. So even though the plant was really runty and stunted and set back, it's coming back, and I am looking forward to having those beautiful purple peppers. Now this one is Yellow Monster. As you can see, I've already got some nice peppers on it. And it's funny, on this particular one, it fell over totally about 2 days ago. And it's just now starting to recover, but I think it fell over because it has a very heavy top growth, but the bottom isn't as strong as it could be to support all this top growth, and it does have a lot of peppers on it. So as you can see, I have 2 stakes, and it's holding it up well. I do have it tied in with some garden, whatever you want to call it. But anyway, so it's starting to look a little bit better. Now this one is supposed to have huge peppers on it. And of course, with Yellow Monster, you would expect it to have some yellow peppers. We'll see. I'm going to have to grow this next year against, I have another hybrid that I grew, can't remember the name of it. But I'm going to have to trial this against that next year, because I'm curious. The other one is supposed to have absolutely huge fruits too. So we'll see. Now growing next to my Yellow Monster, I have a Yellow Bell. It's generic. I did buy this one at the store just because I had room, and we'll see what it's like compared to its neighbor, Yellow Monster. And if I can get back and see the 2 of them together, you can see that Yellow Monster is much taller, but I have to say that I planted this one a whole lot later. Now here are the last 2 of my jalapeno types, and this one in front is Craig's Grande. So this is Craig's Grande, and in the back I have Yellow Spice. They are both open pollinated. I do see quite a few peppers on the Yellow Spice, but I don't know that I really see any peppers on Craig's Grande yet. Well, nope, maybe I see one. Yep, actually there are a couple. So I've got one down here, and there's another one a little bit back from it. So this is supposed to be a large pepper. So we'll see. And Yellow Spice is supposed to be a yellow when ripe as opposed to a red when ripe. So they are growing very well in this grow bag, which is I guess about a 12-gallon grow bag. So 2 plants in here, and they're growing beautifully. Now it's hard to see this amidst everything else in this tower garden, but I do have a bunch of peppers on this plant. This is, I think it's called Orange Lunchbox. And yeah, it's another one that I got at the store because I had room in this tower. And it's doing very well. I do have a couple more in this tower, and let's take a look at them. At the very bottom, I have Hadjuchek, which is supposed to be a kind of a bell type. Now this one gets the least sunlight because above it I have my soybeans that are just going out of control. So it's getting the least amount of sun, but I do see some peppers back there. Let's see if I can get them in the camera. So I do see some peppers, and oh, let's see, is this one? Oh wow, there's a couple more right here. So there are peppers on this plant, and here's hoping that they turn out well. I had a real problem trying to find this pepper because of all the soybeans, but this is a Lunchbox Orange. As you can see that it has these little peppers on it. And by the way, this is very similar to my small grocery store. So those are the kind of peppers that I grew. And let's see, this one has, it's gotten pretty big. And it has a bunch of flowers on it and some peppers. So I'm hoping that these end up being nice and sweet, like the ones I get from the grocery store. My final pepper of the day on this pepper tour is Roumanian Rainbow. Now I grew this back in Florida and I loved it, and I've tried to find seeds again for it. Finally was successful, and we have some nice peppers on it. So these are cool because they will start out the light green, then they turn to a cream color, then they turn orange, and then finally red. And it's a really cool plant. I'm glad to finally have found seeds for it again. So Roumanian Rainbow. All right, so that's the end of today's pepper tour, and get set if you haven't seen the tomato tour. I've got that video, and next we're going to the everything else tour. So stay tuned for that video. Meanwhile, this is Gail, the Gardening Gal, saying have a great day and happy gardening. Bye.